Hi and welcome to another video update from the Fire Brigades Union, here in the Union's head office in Kingston, London. We're joined by General Secretary Matt Rack to discuss the ongoing public inquiry into the Grenfell Tower fire. Now Matt, Phase 1 has finished and the Union's actually published a document regarding that. I understand you have it there. What's the headlines of the document?
Well, Tam, I think our members will have followed the reports on Phase 1 very closely and recall that there was a lot of criticism of the Fire and Rescue Service, the London Fire Brigade, and I have to say also of individual FBU members who attended the incident or dealt with the incident in the fire control. So we've analysed that in great detail. We've produced this document which has gone to every branch. It's a thorough analysis of the report and a critique of it, saying where we think they've got it wrong, for example, on issues around mass evacuation. So I would urge people to read it. If they haven't got it, then contact the local branch rep. We can provide more copies. It is our setting the record straight, if you like, about what happened in Phase 1 and our concerns about some of the conclusions, not the recommendations, but some of the conclusions that were reached in Phase 1.
Okay, Matt, now as I said, the inquiry is ongoing. Phase 2 has started. The Union's still putting a considerable amount of resources into this inquiry. You've attended the first part of the Phase 2. What impression did you gain there?
Well, Tom, I think it's confirmed our view that the inquiry is back to front, because we're now beginning to find the real causes behind why the Grenfell Tower fire evolved as it did in such a devastating and terrible way, because we're finding about the refurbishment of that building, about the materials that were put on that building, about the contracts that were agreed, about the absolute failure to take fire safety seriously, or any safety. The only issues that people were concerned about, it appears from that opening phase, is cost, keeping the costs down, and what the building looked like. Everything else was secondary, and we have found that corporate interests, people or organisations, corporations driven by one thing, and that's their own profits, frankly cutting corners, and then when it all comes out, blaming each other for the failings that led to the tragedy at Grenfell. Absolutely staggering, the facts that we have already uncovered in the opening statements, and I would urge people to, if they get the time, to follow that on the YouTube channel for the inquiry or read it online, because some of those opening statements are staggering and really expose the regime that we have here in the UK around the material that is being put on buildings, how decisions are made, and the fact that the needs of the people living in those buildings is not even on the radar, and nor is the safety of the firefighters, who are the ones who end up turning up when everything goes wrong.
Now Matt, just to go on from that, I mean, one very controversial area that's caused outrage amongst firefighters and control members is this plea by the corporal witnesses to try and get immunity from prosecution in order to give witness statements. I mean, that simply beggars belief, doesn't it?
It is staggering. I think the timing, apart from anything else, if they'd wanted to raise this point, they could have raised it a long time ago. They waited till Phase 2 opened before making this submission, so causing a further delay. And if you think about the community, the people who've lost family and loved ones in the fire, who want to get answers, it is staggering at this stage that this would happen. To be clear, this is about the oral evidence that individual witnesses would give. It doesn't stop the police or other agencies using other bits of evidence. It's simply an application about the oral evidence that they would give. We have taken the approach that we completely oppose this. Firefighters didn't have or seek any such immunity. Firefighters went and spoke frankly and honestly about what they did on the night, or how they dealt with the fire, or how they dealt with the fire in the fire control. And yet we have clearly organisations with big legal teams paid for from the profits of their businesses, who are looking, it seems to me, for every possibility to avoid any blame, any responsibility, and of course any prosecution. And the approach that we've taken is that those people, anyone turning up to the inquiry, should go and speak frankly and be held to account for their actions in the renovation, refurbishment of that building. It's as simple as that. And this is why I think there's a huge amount of anger in the community, and I'm sure among our members as well, about that request. And we're waiting the outcome of that as we speak.
Absolutely. Now, Matt, just to finish off, the FBU is not going away in this process, is it? We're going to see this inquiry through to the finish?
Absolutely. It's a huge investment of time and resources of the union. But I think we need to remind ourselves how important this is, because so many issues that touch on what our service does, the importance of our service in everything, not just responding to fires, but how we plan for fires, the structures, the investment that's necessary, the research that is necessary to provide the best possible fire and rescue service. And of course, that's also about the status of the fire and rescue service. We've had a decade and a half of trying to denigrate what we do. I think Grenfell should bring home how important the work that firefighters, the fire and rescue service does. So this is absolutely crucial, key strategic issue for us to address, and we'll be there throughout.
Thanks very much, Matt. Well, you can follow our campaign called Grenfell Never Again. That's on our website, www.fbu.org.uk. Or for more immediate updates, why not follow us on Twitter? And that's simply @FBU National. Till next time, thanks for joining us, and thanks very much, Matt.
Thanks, Tom.